Now, since Hurricane Idalia made landfall, we've been working with all levels of government to ensure, as well as our partners in the private sector, to ensure that we had rapid restoration of power. Very, very important. This has been a 24/7 effort since the storm hit. We had, prior to the storm, close to 30,000 linemen, tree trimmers, and tradesmen that came and were here staged in Florida for the restoration efforts once the storm hit. So that's a pretty incredible amount of manpower that was ready to go. And they've had to do a lot over these last many days: repair the grid, rebuild substations, restore transmission lines, putting up new poles, putting in new lines. And so having the assets pre-positioned has made a big difference. The rapid restoration has been something that I know a lot of Floridians have appreciated. So here we are 5 days after the storm hit, and there have already been 545,000 accounts restored. That represents more than 96% of all the accounts that were affected since the storm hit, and that's pretty impressive. And the remaining accounts are being worked on as we speak. So currently in the state of Florida, there's less than 23,000 accounts that do not have power at this point. And so the co-ops here locally are working with Duke, the municipals, Florida Power and Light, TECO, and every utility provider in the state pretty much to get those homes up and running as soon as possible. Some areas may take a little longer just depending on what the damage to the underlying infrastructure was. There's some areas that you'd think would have been really bad that actually handled it okay. I think we were down in Keaton Beach on Saturday. That was where the eye of the storm went, and they did have damage, but they didn't have the same storm surge that we saw in some of the other areas. And we looked at the lines, and I think that I actually heard they got power back today, or parts of it got it back. So that's really exciting to hear. So that is ongoing, and they want to get basically all this done as soon as possible. But this, to be where we are now, this has probably been the fastest restoration, even faster than we did during Hurricane Ian. So that's something that's really meaningful, and I know Floridians are appreciative when they see those power trucks coming into the state on the eve of a storm, and when they see the linemen out there working. I mean, it's not easy work. It's tough work. It's hazardous work. And added it, when hurricanes pass, it's usually very hot, sunny, and muggy, and that's what they've had to work on in this late August, early September weather. So I think my hat's off to all the folks from Duke, FPL, local co-ops, municipalities. Thanks for working together to help restore power to these communities so quickly, and I know all Floridians appreciate that as well, so thank you. Schools. So on Tuesday, there'll only be 5 school districts that will not be open. Those 5 are Hamilton, Taylor, Madison, Lafayette, and Suwannee. And you understand, those are probably the hardest hit counties overall. Every other district will be open and has been open by and large. Every school district, including those 5 counties, will be open on Thursday. So that's pretty significant when you have an almost Category 4 storm hit, especially hit a part of the state that hasn't necessarily had these storms hit on this path very much in our lifetimes. I think you got to go back to the 30s before you found one. And then this particular path, the way it went, last saw a track like this in like 1896. So that makes it more challenging when it's not something to do. Ian was a massive storm, but the areas in Southwest Florida that rebuilt after Charlie, they handled it a lot better because all this stuff was built differently. So this is a big challenge, and the fact that they're going to be open basically a week after the storm hit, that's pretty impressive. So I want to thank everybody who's been working hard to get our kids back in school, and I know the parents are appreciating that as well. And we have all universities open tomorrow. There'll be a lot of smiling faces in Tallahassee given the LSU game last night. We appreciate seeing that, and I know a lot of the students there will be happy as well. So we have seen a lot of mobilization from state agencies, and I just wanted to highlight some of the great work that's done. Our Florida Department of Transportation cleared all state bridges less than 12 hours after the storm made landfall, including the bridge to Cedar Key. They completed cut and toss operations on state roads totaling almost 25,000 miles worth of cut and toss, and that was within a day after the storm made landfall. So we understand that there's issues with debris. So those are on the state roads. That's their job, to look after the state roads. But we understand a lot of these counties are fiscally constrained, and there's debris on local roads and debris on some of the county roads. So FDOT is helping these fiscally constrained counties that have requested assistance with clearing the pathway and cut and toss operations. And so I'm glad to be able to deploy them to help our local counties, our fiscally constrained counties. So if you do need assistance and you're in one of those counties, you can talk to Florida Department of Transportation, because they're here to help. Florida Department of Commerce has established 3 business resource centers within 48 hours in conjunction with other agencies in the hardest hit areas here in Perry, in Madison, and in Jasper. These resource centers are available to help businesses and employees applying for emergency bridge loans, disaster unemployment, business licensing, insurance, and more. Florida Department of Law Enforcement and Highway Patrol have been working to escort resources into impacted communities and augment security efforts of local law enforcement agencies. Florida National Guard help with search and rescue operations for people and pets. We've also had points of distribution open within 48 hours, which is the fastest. That I think that's even faster than we did during Hurricane Ian. And since then, they've distributed more than 500,000 meals, almost 400,000 bottles of water, and over 14,000 tarps for homeowners. So I want to thank everybody involved with our points of distribution. And that's Guard, that's local, that's a mix, and everyone's done a really great job. Now, our Florida State Guard deployed for the first time in 75 years. So this is not the National Guard. We have our own State Guard, doesn't answer to Washington. We reactivated it after 75 years, and so they have helped response efforts. They've operated point of distribution in Live Oak. They've helped unload and distribute donated supplies, as well as delivering meals to impacted Floridians. So thanks to our Florida State Guard for their inaugural deployment of the 21st century. God bless you guys. We also have had private sector partners help. Chick-fil-A has donated hundreds of sandwiches to people in need. Publix has donated food, sandwiches, and supplies. And Walmart has donated truckloads of supplies. So we appreciate that. I know the residents really appreciate it. Now, most of these retailers are able to get back up and running in most parts, which is good. But it's very, very helpful to have this for the residents. Now, if you want more info on points of distribution, other food distribution sites, business resource centers, and more, you can go to floridadisaster.org/updates, floridadisaster.org/updates. Another resource we have acted to help impacted Floridians, the Florida Disaster Fund. So since activation less than a week ago, we've raised almost $3 million and are not stopping there. These are funds that can be used to fill gaps for impacted Floridians that don't fit into specific government programs. So if you want to donate to Florida Disaster Fund, you can visit floridadisasterfund.org, floridadisasterfund.org. I know a lot of people will appreciate that consideration. So I want to thank everyone for their hard work. We know there's a lot more that will need to be done, but certainly in those initial days after a response, to be able to get people back online, to be able to get the points of distribution, to be able to stabilize the situation, that makes everything else you have to do so much easier to do. And we've seen times in the past where people toiled for weeks without relief, meaningful relief, and that's not the way to do it. So everyone was ready to go. They descended on the situation, and they were activated, and they did a great job. So I want to thank everyone for doing that. You're going to see, and Kevin Guthrie will talk about some of this, the FEMA individual assistance. That opens up an ability for people to get help from FEMA. There will be disaster recovery centers set up in all the affected counties. Kevin's going to announce the first ones, but those first ones will be active prior to any storm we've ever done. This will be the quickest we've ever done DRCs. So I thank them for what they're doing, and he'll fill you in on what they're going to do with that. All right, so we're going to hear from a few people. We'll start with Kevin Guthrie, then we'll hear from some of our folks involving the utilities. Kevin?
Governor, again, thank you for your leadership. You have been a rock of support for the division, and I really appreciate everything you do for us. As the governor said, it's been 5 days, technically about 5.5 days since landfall of Hurricane Idalia. The State Emergency Response Team, which includes everything you see here, these members are a part of the State Emergency Response Team, have been hard at work supporting the response and recovery efforts in the impacted counties, including restoration efforts in the Big Bend. As we all know, today is Labor Day, but the State Emergency Response Team, again, including all of our electrical providers, continue to operate at full capacity. I am pleased to announce, as the governor has said, that power has been restored to over 500,000 accounts, and all counties have at least half of their power restored as of today. And currently, thousands of line personnel work tirelessly to restore the remaining accounts. Restoring the power to those impacted by Hurricane Idalia is a top priority. Duke Energy has restored power to all of their accounts that can receive power, and our linemen continue to work in those areas. Suwannee, Taylor, Madison, Hamilton, Lafayette counties are experiencing the outages most severely, as the governor's pointed out. Please know that if your home can receive power, we will get the lights on soon. Right now, Duke, as I said, is at 100%. Tri-County is at 53%. This was as of about 12 o'clock today. I've been on the road. Suwannee is about 51%. What we do want to reiterate is be cautious of down power lines. We have more deaths and more injuries happen after disasters strike than we do before the disaster strikes. So please be cautious of down power lines. Do not touch or approach any damaged structure that you think may be tied to a live current, and be cautious of water debris near you, as you could be electrocuted. Taylor, Dixie, Lafayette counties both currently have curfews in effect, so please be mindful of these curfews and understand that it's for your safety that those curfews have been placed in effect. If you are still operating on a generator, as of today at this press conference, I do not know of any potential fatalities related to that. Let's keep up the good work. Let's keep the good work going. Keep those generators 20 feet away from open doors, open windows. Do not put it in your garage. Carbon monoxide will kill you. We are working hard to help all affected communities recover, but we need you at home to practice caution while we help you out. When you're sorting your debris into piles on the road, make sure that they do not obstruct the roadway in any way for the power lines. That will cause a delay in power restoration. So please make sure you keep the area free of debris around power poles and power lines so these power crews can work around that and get in there much more quickly. As the governor said yesterday in a press conference, Pinellas County has been approved for FEMA assistance, bringing the total number of counties approved to 14 for individual assistance. FEMA is providing two programs, and I want to make sure our viewers listen to this. FEMA is providing a clean and sanitize assistance to Hurricane Idalia victims. That's $300. $300 that you could get to clean and sanitize your home. You need to register at the FEMA website to do so. In addition to that, those that have immediate or critical needs for assistance, FEMA is also providing a one-time payment of $700 per household for those displaced from their primary dwelling. If you meet that definition, you've got to check the box that you have critical needs assistance. If you do not check that box, you will not get that $700. So if you meet the definition of a person with immediate or critical needs assistance for the household because you were displaced from your primary dwelling, you're eligible for $700. Click and check that box. For those that do need assistance from FEMA, you have 60 days to apply. The clock is already ticking. We're down to about 57 now. So please make sure that you apply if you are declared for that disaster. I'm proud to also announce that in partnership, as the governor mentioned, with FEMA, we will be opening our first disaster recovery center tomorrow in Dixie County. We had a soft opening there today to get people used to dealing with the public, but we will open that. That is 2 days faster than we have done it in any other disaster before. So I'm very, very happy to and proud of our team back at the State Emergency Response Center in Tallahassee for getting that done. As I said, we broke that record. Although I think our team and I think our partners like Melissa, Manny, Justin, Amy, the CFO, I can't leave him out. He's been here with me since the beginning as well. Manny, thank you again. Senator Corey Simon. We could not do this without the strength and leadership of our governor and the support that we have. So, Governor, thank you very, very much.
Okay. All right, Melissa.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I certainly hope that you recognize that what is happening behind us and the restoration that we have gone through does not happen without partnerships and leadership. And it starts with Governor DeSantis. He has been an extraordinary leader through this, along with other leaders at the state level, including Emergency Director Kevin Guthrie, our CFO, who is here today as well. And certainly cannot leave out by any means the partnership with our local communities. And whether those local communities are EOCs, if they are law enforcement, like Sheriff Padgett, who is here with us today, city council members, commissioners, across the board, the communication and the collaboration that is required to get power back to the citizens of Florida, I think is really one of the things that this state does very, very well. So as of this afternoon, Duke Energy Florida has restored about 200,000 customers from the Tampa Bay area up to right here where we stand and into the Panhandle. We have a very small number of customers that still remain off. For example, here in Taylor County, we just gained access to 2 or 3 locations, and we will remain here until the very last customer has service. We are committed. The other partnership that I really want to mention are our cooperative agencies, Tri-County, Suwannee, and so many others. We have worked hand in hand with them, and the collaboration is critical. And I think that you'll see that here at this particular staging area. So I ask that everyone please continue to be safe. Director Guthrie emphasized this, whether it's with generators, whether it's being around downed power lines. And I do ask that you continue to support the men and women who are working day and night, both in the field and behind the scenes, to restore service to all of our fellow Floridians. So thank you.
Afternoon. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I too would like to thank Governor DeSantis for his leadership and coordination of all the utilities. Also, I would like to thank Kevin for all his support over many, many years. It's an honor to join all of you today. Less than 1 week ago, Hurricane Idalia showed us once again the fury of Mother Nature. And while every hurricane is different, each is humbling and reminds us that no matter what we do, we can never let our guard down. At FPL, we prepare year-round for these hurricanes, and we quickly responded to our customers. And I would like to thank the FPL team for restoring so quickly, especially in such challenging conditions. But we could not have done it alone. And I want to thank all of the utilities, the munis, the co-ops, TECO, Duke, for all the support that they provided as well. And a key component of this is I'm especially grateful over my 41-year career is the support we receive from all the utilities, regardless of what state you're in or what part of the country you're in. Our restoration workforce for Idalia included mutual assistance not only from Florida, but from 16 states across the country. And this type of support is really the hallmark of the electric industry, and it's really a critical aspect of our emergency preparedness. It really is selfless, it's heroic, and I think if you ask everyone here today, most of all, it puts our customers first to be able to get them restored as quickly and safely as possible. In the aftermath of the natural disaster, we know how important it is for all of us to come together and to help our neighbors in time of greatest need. And this storm, we were able to restore pretty quickly, so we were able to release our resources to help our fellow utilities. And no matter what happens when this weather threatens, I think one thing I'm very proud of is we all become part of one team, Team Florida. And at FPL, we know this firsthand through countless storms, including Hurricane Ian last year. And just as we rely on support during our time of need, we are always willing to lend a helping hand to help our fellow Floridians. After all, hurricanes pay no attention to utility territory lines or county lines. They slice through our communities, and it's really up to all of us to come together to become to be able to return a sense of normalcy to all our customers. And as we enter the peak of hurricane season, we urge all Floridians to have a plan. Just a reminder, it only takes one storm to really create a lot of damage to our communities. And for that, I want to thank all of you for your partnerships and collaboration. And most of all, no hurricane would be really successful if we didn't stay safe. So please stay safe. Thank you.
Okay.
Hurricane Idalia's restoration process is an extraordinary effort to repower rural Florida. It is one of the most significant logistical mobilizations our communities have ever seen. We're fortunate to work so closely with Governor DeSantis, Director Kevin Guthrie, and their teams to quickly secure the additional resources needed to help restore our communities. We're also very thankful to our local county officials, the out-of-state local restoration crews, our utility partners such as Duke Energy, our dedicated employees, and the community we serve. It truly takes a village. We currently have over 1,200 additional restoration personnel working to re-energize this area. Tri-County Electric's focus is the people we serve. That is why we're concentrating on restoring power to critical infrastructure, residences, and local businesses as quickly as possible. We have an estimated time of restoration tomorrow night for 90% of our service territory and 95% on Wednesday night for the hardest hit areas south for Wednesday night, and then for the hardest hit areas, which in the areas of southwestern Taylor County and the southwestern side of Madison County, more time is going to be needed to completely finish these areas. These areas have a separate estimated time of restoration of 90% and 95% on Thursday through the end of Friday. These estimated times of restorations are based on locations that are not able to accept power safely. We will continue to power forward until all service is restored to our three-county area. Thank you.
Jimmy?
Thank you, Governor. Friends, I've covered every square inch of this disaster. Nowhere have I been that I have not seen Governor DeSantis' personal fingerprints on the recovery effort. He has empowered his team to save people's lives, to keep people safe, to get people back to normal as soon as possible, and your leadership has been exceptional, sir. We appreciate everything you've done. Kevin has been killing it. He even tried to raise some money at the football game last night. Corey, congratulations on your win. It's a big win for the Seminoles, but now let's be a little serious here a second. Now we're about to have an approach where we're going to help you with your insurance crisis that you're going to be dealing with. Some of you will have claims. Some of you will not. Those of you that have claims or become targeted, I just want to make sure you understand you don't need to sign anything. Anybody that approaches you at your doorstep asking you to sign anything, you need to err on the side of caution and tell them no. When people ask you to sign something, you may be obligating yourself to a contract. You may be obligating yourself to services. The first phone call you should be making is to your insurance carrier, your insurance agent, or to my office at 1-877-MY-FLCFO. Most of the carriers have already reached out to people before, during, and after the storm, which is great. If you've gotten contacted by your carrier and have made an appointment with them to have an adjuster come out, go ahead and start that process. Get those estimates. Start putting your house, your business, your life back together. If you run into any hiccups, pick up the phone and call our office. This is what we do. We make sure that the insurance companies pay you every nickel that you deserve, and you don't have to hire anybody to do it. Okay? Again, 1-877-MY-FLCFO. Well, I've been sitting there, Governor. There's been 300 trucks. I didn't know they had this many trucks in the state of Florida, let alone how many that just pulled through here. It's a real testament to the linemen and how they work around the clock to bring this part of the state back up on its feet. Sir, thank you for your leadership.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh.
You sure?
Well, thanks everybody for the great work. We know during these seasons you just got to be ready. We hope to not have storms, but we know we might, and so you prepare, hope for the best, but you do prepare to meet a major hurricane, and that's what we've done in this situation. Now there is 95L, Invest 95L, that's came off the coast of Africa. That's going to end up becoming maybe a Category 5 Hurricane Lee. Fortunately, as of now, they have it turning north far before it hits Florida or even the Bahamas. But, we watch these things. Anything that happens off the coast of Africa, we start seeing storms form. We watch them. So we'll keep an eye on it. I mean, it looks, all the models say it's going to end up going turn north before it even approaches Florida. And that's great for us, but you never know what the summer will hold for us. So we'll be ready. Hopefully that this is where we can have our sole focus on the recovery from Idalia, but we will be ready for whatever happens coming down the pike. Okay, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. All right.